Well, hi everyone. Long time no see. Do we have any Sonic fans in the audience today? That's not bad, but I kind of feel like they're not trying as hard as they could, Izuka-san.
Yeah, they could be louder.
That is much better. Hello and welcome to our audience online in the chat as well, and thank you for being here. Welcome to the Sonic the Hedgehog animated shorts, a frame-by-frame retrospective panel. First, we'd like to take a moment to introduce everyone you see here today, because if you know Sonic, this is a rather all-star lineup of guests, and if you don't know Sonic, we're about to tell you why. Also, please bear with me as my voice is trying to go out, but I'm going to need your energy for my voice to survive this whole panel. Can you give me the energy for that, please? First, a man who joined Sega back in the early 90s and started work on a game called Sonic the Hedgehog 3 for the Sega Genesis. He would then go on to help create even more Sonic titles, then Nights into Dreams for the Sega Saturn, Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 on the Dreamcast. And he's been involved in almost every major decision from Sonic from then until now. Please give a warm welcome for Takashi Iizuka.
Hello, everyone.
Here to interpret Izuka-san's more in-depth answers is the man sitting next to him, but he also isn't just an interpreter. In fact, that's not his job at all. He joined Sega back in 2015 to manage game production. He was a producer on Sonic Mania, Sonic Forces, Sonic Frontiers, and almost every title since and in between. He also loves a good Texas barbecue. Please welcome Austin Keys.
Great to be here.
I met our next panelist in 2015 when the new Sega office in Los Angeles was first coming together. She started work on the animation side for Sonic, supporting shows like Sonic Boom, and in the next few years, she would go from being involved in those animations to the new short-form animations that we worked on. She periodically guest stars on live streams to teach educational Spanish words, and she's one of the key reasons we are here with you all in this panel today. Please welcome Jasmine Hernandez. Next up, an illustrator, animator, and a writer, a fellow Sonic fan who turned her passion and her talent for art into working on the official Sonic comic books. Since then, she's worked her way all the way up to an official position within Sega. She's now the lead writer of IDW's Sonic the Hedgehog comics. And she's the lead artist in Sega's lore and creative strategy department. Most of you already know who this is. Please give a very big welcome to Evan Stanley. Our next panelist is a veteran in the animation industry, having worked as a director and a producer on shows from TMNT to Star Trek Prodigy to Blue Eye Samurai. In 2023, he co-founded a new studio called GXS Productions. Their debut animation is one maybe you've heard of. It's called Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings. Since then, his studio also won their first Annie Award nomination for last year's Sonic Racing Crossworlds, the animation. Please give a warm welcome to Alan Wan. I met our last panelist in San Diego Comic-Con in 2013, and years later, he would become instrumental in our new generation of Sonic short-form animations. Perhaps even more importantly, he answered the phone when I randomly called him from a Paramount lot and said, "Hey, Tyson, I'm here with Jeff Fowler, the Sonic movie director. He wants to know if you'd be willing to drop everything today and come right over and maybe help us take another stab at the design for this Sonic character." And I think we can all agree we are very glad he picked up the phone that day. He's worked on everything from comics to animations to movies like Sonic the Hedgehog and The Sheep Detectives. Please welcome Tyson Hess. And finally, hello, my name is Aaron Weber, and I was going to say, does anyone here like still remember me? It's been like 4 years. Well, if you're a Sonic fan and you know who I am, you probably have some questions like, Aaron, where have you been for the last 4 years? So if you don't know me, I grew up like many of you. I was a huge Sonic fan growing up. I dreamed of working at Sega someday, and in 2008, I got to do that. When I moved to Sega in LA, I ran the Sonic Twitter account for a while and all the social media there. I got to work on projects like the games, the trailers, and even some of the movies, and then I went over to Japan. What I haven't told anyone yet is that as all of that was happening, I was burning out and hard. And in 2022, I actually left Sega. This is the first time that I have come back. They asked me to come back for this panel. And I can announce today that I will be returning to assist Sega of Japan in the coming year. So if you are new to Sonic, it is so nice to meet you. And if you are a longtime fan, it is really good to see you again. I missed you guys very much. Hey. All right, now, as we dive into today's panel, I want to do something that kind of helps the audience know a bit more about each of our panelists. So we're going to start off by asking everyone on the panel, what is your favorite either Sonic game or Sonic project that you've worked on? Here we go. So I think Izuka-san, we're going to start with you.
Yeah, actually, I love all of them. But if I choose one, Sonic Adventure 2.
Jasmine, how about you?
It's Sonic 2 because that was the first memory I have of Sonic.
Alan, how about you?
I'm a car guy, so I like Crossworld.
Let's go to Austin.
Oh, Sonic the Hedgehog got me a Genesis. That's why I bought one.
Let's go over to Evan Stanley.
Sure. My favorite game is Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but my favorite project is the IDW Sonic comics. Shout out to the comic crew.
And Tyson, let's go to you. Tyson.
Favorite Sonic game is Sonic Unleashed. That's the easiest cheer you will ever get out of a Sonic audience. But my favorite project that I've worked on is Sonic Movie 3, I think.
Aaron, what's your favorite?
Probably for me, either Sonic 3 and Knuckles or Adventure 2. But most recently, I think I've got to say Sonic Mania. Because Mania started so many things for the Sonic fan base, and we haven't even told some of these stories. But Mania behind the scenes is where a lot of this stuff began. In fact, audience, would you like to hear today some of the untold stories about how Mania was the first project that started animation in Sonic in general for the last 10 years? All right, well then let's take it back 10 years. Little sound effect there. All right, now, as some of you will remember, 10 years ago, Sonic was in a very different state than it was now.
Yeah, very different.
Yes. And in the early days of the Los Angeles office, we at Sega were facing a challenge. Actually, it was many challenges.
And one of them was space. Austin, Aaron, and I first met in Los Angeles as it was getting built. Actually, many of the desks were originally put together by our head of office, Waisan, and some of our staff, like Associate Director of Licensing, Mike Cisneros, with supplies from, well, I can't say where we bought the stuff from, but let's call it generic Swedish home decorating store down the street.
And beyond the basics, like really the previous big game just did not meet the expectations that Sega hoped. So with Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, everything was kind of a little bit on the downside. Most of the Sega staff in San Francisco had been downsized with the move to Los Angeles. So a lot of the team really were new to Sonic.
Yeah, and we had a group of core fans who would support us through thick and thin, but after repeated challenges from the past, we were at a pivotal moment for Sonic. And I think a lot of us in the office back then were learning that.
And the industry as a whole treated Sonic very differently 10 or 11 years ago. Yeah, some of you know. sometimes fairly, but sometimes they were just really harsh, you know, and they would say things like, "Oh, Sonic was never good," or yeah, see, you know, or Sega should just let Sonic die, and yeah, okay, don't worry, I'm with you. As you can imagine, as a fellow Sonic fan, I took that personally. So in those early days, I took a bit of a risk, and I just kind of started tweeting almost whatever I wanted because I had to start pushing it back and changing the discourse that was happening around Sonic. And this was kind of a risky play for my job because I was not running anything through Japan. You didn't hear that, Izuka-san? But I also knew we had to do it this way because we had to change what Sonic was known for if we wanted to build him back up again. So, fully expecting I might get fired, I just kind of started posting like crazy. We embraced, you know, the memes. We had fun, and we brought in the voice actors and actually answered questions live on Twitter. We even had fun. There's one. We even clapped back a little bit at some of the. We had a good time with the press accounts. And the crazier part, though, about all of this was that it worked. We got headlines from Polygon and BuzzFeed and GameSpot, and most importantly, we got love from all of you. Can you go to the next one? I'm amazed and so thankful that the internet showed up in force to support us. So if you were there, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for that. Yeah. And you all didn't know this at the time, and I didn't know this at the time either, but this was the first domino. Your support for this was the first domino that would trigger so many other amazing things to happen for Sonic down the road. And right now we're going to talk about one of those things, which is animation. So here's how it happened.
So we all knew that kind of game production needed to improve from where we were before, and further that our work for Sonic really had to be handled by people who really knew and cared deeply about the IP. And there were two people at Sega of Japan who had worked on Sonic longer than any of us had worked on it, and who, in 2016, also would move out to Los Angeles to help us out in Los Angeles.
Hello.
Those two guys.
Izuka-san and Hoshino-san arrived to support the LA office, and one of the very first projects that Izuka-san would see
Was pitched to him by a friend of mine from Australia. His name is Christian. Some of you may know him. I had asked him to come over and share this prototype of a project that I really believed in, and I knew, like, if we can launch this thing, it's going to be amazing for Sonic. And so they come all the way over, they pitch it to Izuka-san. He sits there, he thinks for a little bit, doesn't say anything, gets up, and walks out of the room. And I look at Christian, I look at Tom, the artist, I don't, like, yeah, and all I can think is, oh no, he hates it. The whole dream is dead. He hates it.
Yeah, and it's kind of stayed that way for about 5-10 minutes until Izuka-san walked back into the room. He grabbed a marker, walked to the whiteboard, and wrote 2 words on the whiteboard. What were those words?
And Izuka-san, of course, you remember what you wrote on the whiteboard?
Sonic Mania.
That was it.
And thus, Sonic Mania became official. So as we go to the 25th anniversary party that happens not long after that, we decide we want to concept a trailer to help announce Sonic Mania. And Hoshino-san helps us out by coming up with, these guys, these little designs for the trailer. And here's where it all connects into the very first animations of 2016. In fact, it's a bit of a reference to a previous animation team for a previous Sonic game. Do we have any fellow Sonic CD enjoyers? All right, now, when I was a kid, this blew my mind. This was amazing. I love this thing. And also a big shout out to Naoto Oshima. That is the original designer of Sonic. He was the guy who storyboarded a ton of these scenes. So special thank you to you, Naoto-san, Oshima-san. All right. So inspired by that, I go to the production team and I say, hey, let's do an animation like Sonic CD, but for Sonic Mania. And of course, Austin's in the room. He looks at me, he smiles, gives me 2 big thumbs up, and he says, well, yeah.
No, we need to have the devs make the game good first. Absolutely not.
Okay, yeah, no, that is what he said. That is actually what he said. No, that's right. But there's good news, because I'm really stubborn, and the social media channels are growing like crazy, so some people are starting to listen. And the marketing guy that didn't want to make a trailer previously just left. So now I'm helping with the launch trailer, and you know what that means? We're going to spend all of our budget. All of it. Every cent. On this animation. The only problem is, there's not a lot of budget. And so I cannot afford a well-known anime studio. So I start thinking about some artists who might be a good fit, and my mind goes back to this guy I met at Comic-Con once. See if you can guess who this is. I'm manning a demo station. A super tall guy walks up. He goes, who's your favorite Sonic character? So I tell him, but before you hear my answer, let's get some other votes. Alan, who's the best Sonic character?
Metal Sonic.
Evan?
Silver.
Tyson, your vote?
Knuckles.
Austin, how about you?
Sonic, duh. Come on.
Jasmine?
Amy.
And finally, Izuka-san, who is your favorite?
It's Shadow the Hedgehog.
Got a little plush right there. All very good answers. Though at that time, the answer I gave was and still is my personal favorite. And if you know me, it is, of course, Big the Cat. So this guy brings over a signed book of Sonic comics called Sonic's Big Fat Adventure, and he draws big on the inside cover. That's the actual book, yeah. He draws big on the inside cover for me, and reading it online, I discover he's the author of these really funny Sonic parody comics that I'd seen. And of course, you might know who I'm talking about now. It's Tyson. So years later, I find Tyson's book sitting there in a bunch of boxes that I hadn't unpacked yet, and I realize, oh, he might be able to do this. So I reach out to Tyson. I ask if he's interested. Tyson, what do you remember from back then when you first got that message? What were your thoughts when you heard Sonic CD-like animation?
At the time, I hadn't done any actual animation work professionally. I had graduated with a degree in animation from college, but I'd been working in comics and storyboarding and just kind of doing personal stuff ever since I graduated. So when I got that offer, not having any professional experience, I of course said yes anyway, because that's just what you do. You say yes and then you figure it out. So I immediately just started asking anyone I knew who could possibly help do something like this. We didn't have the money or time to hire a studio or a vendor to work with it, so it was a really small group of scrappy people, and we just kind of started going.
How long did you have to create that very first launch trailer animation? This one's good.
From, I think, the day that you brought the pitch to me to actual final submission, it was about 4 months, which is it's a very, very short amount of time to gather a group, concept, storyboard, get a pipeline together. Keep in mind, we used a studio called Yada that had some experience working together, but they weren't our one-stop shop. We ended up having to do a lot of this stuff just in my bedroom afterwards. So it was an effort and labor of love to get it all done in that short amount of time, but I tried as best as I could to be efficient. As those of you that have seen the animation know that it takes place in this kind of abstract world that is reminiscent of the old Japanese Sonic box art, and that was an intentional decision because we didn't have time to do BGs before the animators needed to start animating, actually. So I basically had to scribble some lines saying Sonic runs here, so that they could get going on their roughs. And all that came together with a bunch of pieces that then we could paint and reuse through multiple BGs. I knew that I was going to have to paint many of them myself as well. So it just became an effort of trying to find the most efficient way of getting through all this while still being able to deliver on a very aggressive time schedule.
You did amazing for 4 months, by the way. Absolutely amazing. Yes. And Izuka-san, I remember you seeing the early animatic of this trailer and this big smile on your face as you watched it. What were your first thoughts?
I was very happy. So I felt the team behind the animation really understood Sonic.
I do remember my first time actually reviewing the rough animation with Izuka-san. He came into the room and we watched the whole thing together, and then we asked if he had any notes, and he just walked up to the TV, and it's on the final shot where Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are standing next to each other right before they zoom in the camera, and Izuka-san just walks up to the TV and he holds his hand up to Knuckles' head and Sonic's head just to make sure that Knuckles is just a little bit taller than Sonic. And he said, "Nope, all good." And that was it for our review. So it was a huge relief knowing that he had put our faith in us, and we had shown up.
So we knew then this launch trailer is going to be something really special. So with the support of a guy in the office named Evo, there he is. He was the head of all the marketing and creative work back then. We decided to make another animated trailer for the pre-order reveal. But because this one has to come out before the launch trailer, we actually have even less time to make this thing. We're like, oh, wait a minute. That's going to be tough. However, since we can't do something that's beautiful or fully colored, Tyson comes up with a new idea.
Yeah. So when you only have about 2 weeks to put together another trailer and you're still in the middle of compositing the first trailer that you're working on, you once again have to get creative and resourceful. So I came up with this idea. Well, I can probably animate this with a couple of friends in about 2 weeks, but there's no way we can do BGs. There's no way we can color it and clean it up. So let's just act like we intentionally had this sketchy idea and pretend that it was some great plan from the start, but it ended up coming together because it felt like the precursor to something much more polished that later became the intro for Sonic Mania. But this all happened after the first intro was almost completed, actually.
Okay. So then we've got all these, and I go back to Christian, who made Sonic Mania, and I show the Mania devs the launch trailer, and of course they love it, right? They think it's amazing. I think then Christian probably spoke to some people. That's my guess, because the next thing I know, Austin and I are talking again, and this time we're in a room together, and everyone all at once together says, "Hey, we'd like to put the launch trailer
in the game."
In the game, yeah.
Give it to us.
So remember, kids, there is a lesson here. If you really want to give someone something special, but they tell you no, just give that something special to somebody else instead. Then if it's good enough, the original person gets jealous and they'll realize they wanted it all along.
No. Are we still talking about the trailer? Or is this like your love life or something? It's so weird.
Austin, I told you those stories in confidence.
I'm sorry, man.
Anyway, with the animations launching to huge success, we call up Tyson again. We tell him we want to do a full animated short series for the packaged version of Sonic Mania that we're doing next. It's called Sonic Mania Plus. And this time we bring in a new staff member from our animation team to help manage these. For the last year, she's been working on a TV show, but this time, helping on this project is going to change the entire trajectory of her career. Her name is Jasmine.
Hello.
So Jasmine and Tyson work really closely together on the shorts. They go on to receive over 100 million views. I'm going to talk quickly here so we don't run out of time. Tyson, could you tell us a little bit more about some of the early concepts for Mania Adventures before they grew into what fans finally got?
Yeah, so when we first got told, hey, we want to do some more animations, and we got told the budget and time constraints was basically our only options were to do something either completely in black and white sketchy like the pre-order trailer or pixel art animations. And when you get offered your first Sonic show, you don't want to make some pixel art animations or some black and white sketchy stuff. So basically we just kind of stuck our heels in and said, we can do this, we can do a real cartoon. I'm going to have to do probably 10 different jobs because we can't afford to hire anyone else. But the passion behind it was just, it was our opportunity to really show up and do something fun and new, and we weren't going to half measure it. So we stuck in and we made it work.
And since then, Tyson has worked on many projects with us. And Tyson, I know this is a difficult question, but what's your favorite project that you've worked on?
Personally, I have a great affinity for Chow in Space. Just because this was a project that wasn't attached to a game, it wasn't trying to sell anything. It was really just, hey, you guys want to do something fun for social and come up with an idea? Chow in Space, obviously we're all big Chow fans behind the scenes, and so it became an opportunity to do something fun. And for me, I got to animate all of the Sonic Chow Garden segments myself, which was a lot of fun because I rarely get to do the actual full animation just on my own.
Mm-hmm. When you're working on making a short, Tyson, you often did so with very small teams. You wore many hats to build them. Any part of or phase of the production that you love the most?
My favorite single part is getting to do a little bit of everything, actually. I think, at every step, everyone is working as hard as they can on these, but it's nice to be able to take a break from one thing, move on to a next. It's nice to be able to either do some animating one day and then move on and do some sound design another day, and then another day move on and do some compositing. I think what keeps me sane is knowing that there's something else I can do. And something else that can keep me growing and learning across all these different things. I mean, just looking at this small little bit of animation that's up here, I didn't know how to composite a shot before the Sonic Mania intro. It was basically, I had to learn. And so I think I'm really lucky, actually, that I'm able to do all these different things because it lets me learn things I had no idea.
All right, last question I have for you, Tyson, and we're a little bit behind on time, so answer it as quickly as you can. Ready? If you could do anything you wanted, what would be your dream Sonic project?
I've always wanted to do a Sonic music video, like a real Sonic music video. Something that's really musically driven, artistically driven, and I love music, and that'd be great.
All right, great answer. I think the audience likes it too. So, as the years progressed, the animations began to evolve a little bit, and as social media started to change too, as vertical and doom scrolling culture started to become more prominent, Chow were the next focus for animation. So, if you're a Chow supporter in the audience or chat, this is your moment. Let's hear you cheer. Jasmine, why were Chow chosen to produce the vertical content?
Well, Aaron, you might remember when I first joined Sega, one of my first meetings with you was to discuss the Chow, and that was because I needed to know more about these characters.
I do remember that.
Yeah, so very early on, we were trying to do a short form initiative. However, that didn't get to be quite seen because we were working on Sonic Boom, and Chow were one of the characters that we wanted to see in short form, but I did not want that dream to die, so I am a very patient and persistent and polite person, so anytime an opportunity would come up, I would pitch Chow, and I had a lot of support from our #1 Chow fan, Kitty Krzyzanowski, and that's how we kind of ended up with Chow in Space. And so because it was such a great success, we wanted to file that information away, and I took that over and in the future, trying to make another Chow short. And I know there's a lot of love for Chow here.
Yeah, there's clearly some love in the audience, it sounds like.
And I know outside of the Sonic community, Chow aren't quite as well known. So in early 2023, I pitched the idea to our head of our department, Yukio Kusumoto, and pitched the idea of vertical shorts because I really believe that these characters would be great to the fans who really love these characters, but also expand to newer audiences. And so fortunately, Yukio took my pitch and believed in it. And so, like I said, we started this in early 2023, and it takes a lot of time and approvals to get a project done. And so what we did was, in order to get this short right, we knew that we had to get a great director and writer to join us so that we could pitch it to Izuka-san, and that person was Evan Stanley.
Evan, hello.
Hello.
Evan, these Chow videos or shorts, many were around a minute or so. What's the story process like when you're producing a video that is so short in length?
So going into this, we knew we had to keep, again, short, no dialogue. So I focused on very simple, easily readable conflicts that could be solved through action. And we also had a few kind of goals that we knew we wanted to hit. We wanted to really reintroduce the audience to the fundamentals of chow raising. We wanted to tell a story that really tied into the natural world. And so that really gave me the building blocks I needed to start putting together a story. So I split our episodes up into 4 seasons. I gave each episode kind of a seasonal theme. And then to cap off the whole story, I wanted to have a nice action beat that was resolved by chow raising. And then, as we were working through it, we originally were going to have Shadow be the character who was there in the garden taking care of the chow, but as we kept going, it made more sense to use Sonic there and instead put the narrative focus on a little Shadow Chow that could be our flawed protagonist and go through a journey of self-improvement. And that definitely worked out for us in the end because by focusing on the chow, we had a lot more narrative freedom.
And the animation for the studio for Chow Tales was in Japan. What was it like to work with Japanese animation pipelines?
Well, it was our first time working with a Japanese pipeline, and it was a little nerve-wracking at first. Compared to a Western animation pipeline, which puts a lot of focus on very precise pre-production and fully timed animatics, which doesn't leave a lot of room for revision and spontaneity in the animation. The Japanese pipeline does very loose animatics and even looser first pass on animation. So when we got that back, we were like, oh no, uh-oh.
So what do you do in that situation?
Well, we decided to trust our partners and their process, and we got there in the end. So in the Japanese pipeline, the first pass is called the Ichigenga, and it is super rough. But what happens next is that the director, in this case me, and the lead animator will go through basically every cut and redraw the layout and the key poses to make sure that everything starts to read and gel. And then they go back into animation, they redraw everything, present it again, and then the director and the lead animator do the same process, but hopefully tightening up the models and any lingering animation issues. That pass is called the Nigenga. Then they go draw everything again, and then you actually get your proper final animation.
Okay, for time, Evan, we're going to jump to the next question here, which is, what challenges did you face producing vertical and horizontal versions for these videos simultaneously?
Oh, sure. For us, it was really mainly an issue in the storyboarding phase. You have to plan out compositions that put all the narrative action in the center of the frame. You can use a little bit of pan and scan style editing to make it work, but you really want to stick to the center. So in our first 8 episodes, we had a bit of a learning curve with that, but by the Halloween special, we had kind of locked that in and knew what we were doing about that, so it went a lot smoother.
Okay. Evan, this one's for you, but also maybe for Tyson. Do you ever find it difficult to convey a story or a character's emotion in an animation without using any dialogue or any character voices?
Yeah, it's not that bad. Again, if you know what kind of story you're telling from the start and you don't have to like cut dialogue halfway through, it's pretty easy to plan your narrative around that limitation. Tyson?
Yeah, it's not difficult. It just becomes a different project and other things kind of take over and replace the weight of dialogue. Music becomes really important. Music can tell a lot of story. Facial performance, you know, if you can't say the words, you just have to work a little extra hard in the expression sometimes. But pantomime and animation have gone hand in hand since the beginning, and Sonic himself is a character inspired by those old cartoons so closely that it's, you know, nonverbal animation goes perfect.
And actually, Izuka-san, you have experience with this too from the mid-'90s, a game that my fellow millennials out there will remember. Maybe the younger generations, if you have excellent taste, you'll know this game. This is Nights into Dreams from Sega Saturn. Izuka-san, I always felt like the true ending of Nights was one of the most beautiful stories I had ever seen. Izuka-san, do you have similar thoughts to Evan and Tyson about telling stories like this without using voices?
Yeah, so in case of Knights, so since Knights is an action game, so we wanted to create a movement experience without any text and voices.
Well, you did a great job.
Thank you.
All right, Alan, you have been so patient over there. Thank you. Alan, I have a number of questions for you now as one of the key people behind Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind, Alan, we're going to go real quick.
Yeah, we're going to go real quick. Come on, let's go.
Okay, so your team works on Dark Beginnings. It gets a hugely positive reception on YouTube. Your animation even goes in the game. Based on that, you feeling any pressure when you're working on the animation for Racing Crossworlds?
Yeah, I mean, there's always pressure in making cartoons, but a lot of it doesn't really come from the outside, but it's mostly from our own expectation, because every project has its own challenge. Some of it is creative, some of it is logistic. So for Dark Beginnings, it has action in it, but it's really a tragic, beautiful story about Shadow and Maria. So the action is there to just support that character story. But Crossworld, it's like a 5-minute long, non-stop movement showing Shadow's comeback race. So the challenge becomes, how do we keep raising those stakes? How do we sustain the energy for 5 full minutes without it feeling repetitive? And also, with all of that, we also have to make it production friendly within production scope. So those are mainly where the pressure comes from, but it's also like stuff that we enjoy. It keeps us motivated.
Now, Evan, Tyson, and I, we all grew up with Sonic, but you approached it as someone that was very new to the fandom. What's your process like when you're telling an emotional story while still staying true to the world of Sonic?
So I'm aware of Sonic as a character, but I'm definitely a little bit late to the party. But so when we first started Dark Beginnings, it was very lucky that our project director, Kevin Molina Ortiz, he already knows a lot about the franchise and its history. So from that point on, it became a real team effort between our crew in Los Angeles and Simich Animation in Hong Kong. We were constantly just cross-checking, making sure we're staying true to the lords. And also having Ian Flynn writing the story from the get-go gives us a really strong foundation.
And what kinds of inspiration does your team draw on for the action scenes?
So most of our inspiration actually comes from the game itself. We just want to show it in a way where our fans can experience it in a cinematic way. So one of the examples is when Shadow is doing Chaos Control in Dark Beginnings. Like, when fans see it, they know what it is. But what made it special is how we applied it within the story.
Okay, perfect. Well, as you can see, let's ask the audience real quick. Audience, if you enjoyed Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings, could you please cheer for Alan over here?
I just want to give a huge shout out to my partners, Chris, Kev, and Sheldon, and our animation partner, Simich Animation in Hong Kong. Great job, everyone.
Well, as you can see, Alan, your animation has touched the hearts of a lot of people. What do you think makes Sonic special?
So I think one of the things that I enjoy a lot is watching the reaction videos and seeing. It's not so much like people reacting to our work, but I can really see how these characters are connected to these people. I mean, fans love these characters for decades. So when we put something in the story and fans pick it up, it feels like we made a meaningful connection. And then the other thing that made Sonic really special, it's the Sonic team, because the team really took a lot of creative chances that a lot of franchise probably wouldn't. And then they're also really open to letting creators come in into this sandbox and play in it. So we're really grateful to Sega and the fans for letting us be part of it. So thank you so much.
And that's Izuka-san as well. Yeah, that's Izuka-san too.
All right, so as we get into our last section for today, we have a quick highlight reel to showcase all of our short form animations over the last 10 years.
This.
And the
Now,
sound.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Yep. The soundtrack of this reel was composed by a longtime Sonic fan. His name is Antonio Teoli.
Ooh, I know Antonio is in the audience. Please stand up. Let the fans see you. Where are you?
All right, let's play video number 1. All right. And that brings us to the last part of our panel today, which is something very special. Izuka-san, please take it away.
Yep. This year is 35th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah. Since this panel about the animation, so we decided this is a perfect place
To review for the very first time.
That we're building a brand new short form animation special for the 35th anniversary, and it's called Sonic the Hedgehog Memories and Beyond.
The anniversary animation is an action-packed story that celebrates the last 35 years and packs a little emotional punch.
Dr. Eggman's evil scheme is to upgrade Metal Sonic into the ultimate fighting machine by stealing Sonic's life data and harnessing the power of the Chaos Emeralds. Sonic and his friends realize that to defeat Metal Sonic, they must rely on the friendship they built through their adventures.
Is this a happy feel-good animation like Chow Tales, or does it have more action like Dark Beginnings?
It's going to be more like Dark Beginnings, where you have a lot of action, but have a lot of emotional story that you will see.
So what we're gonna see today is still very early because you all are still working really hard on this right now. But how long is the total animation going to be when it's finished? And how long is today's preview going to be?
So the full animation will be about 10 minutes in length, maybe a little more. And today we're going to show you a sneak peek of the first 15 seconds.
Listen, that is super exciting. But I just got to say, the audience has been really great today.
Yeah, I agree. Can we show them a little bit more, please? Yeah? A little bit more?
They've been so nice. Like, could you say one more time, Austin?
Could we show them just a little bit more, please?
You know what? Come on, let's do it! All right. You know what, guys? We'll double it. 30 seconds. Let's go.
Thank you.
Surprise!
Thank you so much for enjoying that and for joining us, everyone, both in person to everyone that is online in the chat. As we wrap up our panel today, we have a bit of a tradition for panels that we do. Does everyone here know that Sega chant, the old Genesis chant on the carts? You'd boot it up, right, and it would go, Sega. Everyone know that? We would like all of you to join us for that as we finish our panel today, as loud as you possibly can. We're going to count it down from 5. Here we go. Are you ready?
5,
4,
3,
2,
1.
Sega!
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for coming. Special thank you to the Anime Expo staff as well. Please give a round of applause for all the Anime Expo staff that are working tirelessly to make this happen. All right, we're all done. Thank you.